Good boy.
Drake has gone viral after doing something almost nobody expected to see from one of the biggest rappers in the world. He barked on command for a goth creator named Pinkchyu, then chose her as his wife at the end of a 20-woman dating competition. And the reason this moment has become much bigger than just another bizarre livestream clip is that Drake had already described a goth baddie as the kind of woman he believed he was destined to end up with. The viral moment happened on Saturday, August 8, 2026, during a massive live stream on Kick. Drake participated in a 20v1 speed dating event produced by Nelk and hosted by Kyle Forjard. The event was part of celebrations surrounding Stake's 9th anniversary and was built around Drake meeting 20 women, eliminating contestants throughout the stream, and eventually selecting one woman as the winner. By the end of the competition, that woman was Pinkchyu, whose real name is Lynn Lamar. But the moment that made Pinkchyu the undisputed star of the livestream happened much earlier, during her one-on-one interaction with Drake. Pinkchyu appeared on the show with her recognizable alternative, goth-inspired aesthetic. During her conversation with Drake, the two talked, opened Magic the Gathering cards, and eventually got onto the subject of role play. Drake told her that if she told him to do something, he would. Pinkchyu then decided to test that claim. She asked Drake a very simple question: "Would you bark for me?" And Drake actually did it. He started barking like a dog, and Pinkchyu responded with 2 words that instantly became part of the viral clip: "Good boy." That was the moment the internet exploded. Clips of Drake barking began spreading across social media almost immediately, with viewers joking about how quickly the rapper had apparently given in to Pinkchyu's request. The scene became one of the defining moments of the entire 3-hour livestream, and within a day, Drake and Pinkchyu were being discussed far beyond the original Kick audience. The reason the clip worked so well as internet content is obvious. Drake is not an unknown streamer trying to go viral. He is one of the most recognizable musicians in the world. And instead of simply flirting with a contestant, he was suddenly sitting across from a goth creator who asked him to bark, and he complied. But there was another layer to the story that made fans pay even more attention. Drake had already talked publicly about his attraction to goth women. In September 2025, during an interview with Bobbi Althoff, Drake was asked about marriage and the type of woman he wanted to end up with. His answer was unusually specific. Drake said he felt his destiny was to end up with a goth baddie, while describing the kind of woman he wanted, as funny, heavily tattooed, and authentically goth. He even told Althoff, in his joking style, that people interested in becoming that type should get gothy. So when Pinkchyu showed up on Drake's dating show with a goth-inspired appearance, the internet immediately connected those 2 moments. It suddenly looked like Drake had found the exact kind of woman he had described less than a year earlier. That does not mean Drake had secretly planned the dating show around finding Pinkchyu, and there is no evidence that he did. But the coincidence was too perfect for social media to ignore. In fact, the resurfaced Bobbi Althoff interview became part of the viral story itself. Fans began reposting Drake's old comments about wanting a goth baddie and comparing them with his interaction with Pinkchyu. And then came the bigger question: would Pinkchyu actually win the competition? There were 20 women involved in the dating event, so barking alone did not technically make her the winner. The contestants went through the dating show format as Drake got to know them and eliminated women along the way. Eventually, the field was reduced to 3 finalists. Pinkchyu made the final 3 alongside Lena the Plug and Jordyn Lucas. And when Drake made his final selection, he chose Pinkchyu. That is why headlines began describing her as Drake's wife. But there's an important fact that needs to be made absolutely clear. Pinkchyu did not become Drake's actual wife. The word wife came from the show's format and the way the final selection was presented. There has been no announcement that Drake and Pinkchyu are legally married, engaged, or officially dating in real life. So when social media posts say Drake married Pinkchyu or that she is now his wife, those claims go beyond what has actually been confirmed. What is confirmed is that Drake selected her as the winner of the 20v1 dating show. And then the story became even more surprising. After selecting Pinkchyu, Drake reportedly offered to buy her whatever she wanted. Instead of turning the moment into a typical celebrity giveaway, Pinkchyu asked whether Drake would buy a house for her retired mother. Drake agreed. That became another major headline from the livestream. Reports have circulated claiming the house would be worth around $400,000, but that specific price has not been established as firmly as the basic promise itself. So the safest version of the story is that Drake agreed to buy a house for Pinkchyu's mother. There's also an important distinction between a promise made on a livestream and a completed purchase. As of the latest reporting, there is no solid confirmation that a house has already been purchased, transferred, or closed on, so it would be misleading to say that Drake has already bought the property. The confirmed development is that he agreed to the request. That distinction matters because viral celebrity stories can change very quickly once social media starts repeating them. One post says a house was promised, another turns that into a $400,000 house, then another headline says the house was purchased, and suddenly a promise made on a live stream becomes a completed transaction that may not have happened yet. For now, the responsible version is simple. Drake agreed to buy a house for Pinkchyu's mother, but the completion of that purchase has not been independently established. And while the house story gave the livestream a more emotional angle, the barking clip remained the moment everybody was talking about. There was also an especially funny piece of history behind it. Back in December 2023, IShowSpeed had asked Drake on Instagram how he could get women like Drake does. Drake responded with some advice that became famous among fans. He essentially told Speed to stop barking at women immediately and instead say something nice. Fast forward to August 2026, and Drake himself was barking for a woman on a dating livestream. The irony was not lost on anyone. After the Pinkchyu clip went viral, Drake later addressed IShowSpeed and joked, "Darren, I retract my statement." In other words, Drake himself acknowledged the contradiction. The old advice was basically, don't bark at women. The new reality was Drake was barking because a woman asked him to. That connection gave the internet another reason to keep replaying the clip. Even IShowSpeed's reaction became part of the conversation, with fans joking about the reversal and pointing back to Drake's original advice from 2023. But the Pinkchyu story is not simply about a woman getting Drake to bark. Who is Pinkchyu? Pinkchyu is the online name of Lynn Lamar, a creator known for cosplay, alternative fashion, streaming, and adult-oriented online content. She has built a significant online audience around her appearance, cosplay, and goth-inspired persona. Her sudden explosion in mainstream attention is a perfect example of how celebrity live streams can completely change the trajectory of an internet creator. Before the Drake appearance, Pinkchyu already had an established online identity. After the Drake appearance, millions of people who had never heard her name were suddenly searching for her. That is the power of a viral celebrity moment. And Pinkchyu appeared to understand that very quickly. Rather than distancing herself from the Goth Baddie label, she leaned into the identity that had already become associated with her online brand. That also explains why Drake's old comments about goth women suddenly became so relevant. He had already told Bobbi Althoff that authenticity mattered to him when describing his ideal goth partner. He wasn't simply talking about someone wearing black clothes for a photo. He specifically discussed wanting someone who was genuinely funny and authentically connected to the aesthetic. Pinkchyu's appearance on the dating show therefore gave fans an almost perfect visual comparison with what Drake had previously described. But there is an important difference between a celebrity saying what his ideal type is and actually developing a relationship with someone who matches that description. There is currently no verified announcement that Drake and Pinkchyu have begun a serious relationship outside the show. The dating event was entertainment. The wife title was part of the competition, and the barking happened in the context of playful role play during the livestream. Those facts are important because the internet has already started treating the moment as though Drake has found his future wife. That is not confirmed. What we actually know is much more interesting on its own. Drake entered a live stream dating competition. Pinkchyu was one of 20 women. She asked him to bark. He barked. She called him a good boy. She advanced to the final 3. Drake chose her as the winner. She asked him to buy a house for her mother, and he agreed. That's already an extraordinary sequence without adding rumors. The public reaction has been equally chaotic. On Reddit and other social platforms, some fans treated the entire thing as hilarious and praised Drake for not taking himself too seriously. Others mocked him for barking on command, while some argued that the entire dating show was obviously designed around entertainment and viral moments rather than a genuine search for romance. That last point is worth emphasizing. This was not a conventional dating show filmed quietly for television. It was a live stream built for the internet. The format was designed to create rapid interactions, unexpected personalities, eliminations, jokes, and moments that could be clipped and shared. And it worked. The Drake-Pinkchyu encounter became exactly the kind of short-form clip that can escape its original audience. People who never watched the full live stream saw Drake barking. They didn't necessarily see the earlier conversation. They didn't see the other contestants. They didn't see the final selection. They simply saw one of the biggest rappers on the planet barking while a goth creator smiled and said, "Good boy." And that is how internet narratives are born. One 30-second clip can become the entire story. But there was much more happening during Drake's livestream. The 20v1 dating segment was only one part of a much larger stream. The event included other entertainment, giveaways, and celebrity-related moments, and coverage from Rolling Stone noted the chaotic nature of the broadcast, including an Hermes giveaway and other moments that fueled online speculation. Still, the Pinkchyu interaction quickly became the centerpiece. There was also another contestant that attracted attention. Krista Salaika, associated with TLC's Little Singles, was among the women involved in the dating event. She later shared footage involving Drake that showed the two dancing, cuddling, and kissing. That moment gave viewers another example of the chemistry Drake was having with contestants during the event. But despite the attention surrounding other women, Drake ultimately selected Pinkchyu. That final choice is what transformed the barking clip into the main storyline of the show. And now the question becomes, what happens after the cameras are off? Will Drake and Pinkchyu continue interacting? Will the house for her mother actually happen? Was this simply a viral live stream moment, or could there be something more? At this point, there is no verified answer to those questions, and that is where responsible celebrity reporting has to separate what is entertaining from what is actually known. There has been online speculation about Pinkchyu's appearance, including resurfaced older photographs and claims about possible cosmetic procedures. Those claims should not be presented as facts. There is currently no reliable basis for saying that Pinkchyu has undergone specific cosmetic procedures simply because social media users are comparing old and new photographs. The same applies to claims that she is fake goth. Some online commenters have criticized her aesthetic or questioned how authentic her goth identity is. Others have defended her and pointed out that alternative fashion is not a single uniform look. But whether someone qualifies as goth enough is not an established news fact. The verified story is that Pinkchyu presents herself with a goth-inspired aesthetic and that Drake selected her during the dating show. Everything beyond that belongs in the realm of opinion. And perhaps that is one of the most interesting parts of this entire story. Drake's live stream shows just how dramatically celebrity culture has changed. A few years ago, a celebrity of Drake's size might have appeared on television, given an interview, and carefully controlled the conversation. Now, a global superstar can spend hours live streaming directly to internet audiences, participating in an intentionally chaotic dating competition, barking at a contestant, giving away luxury items, joking with streamers, and instantly creating dozens of viral clips. The boundary between celebrity entertainment and influencer culture is becoming harder to see. Drake has increasingly embraced live streaming in internet culture, and this event is another example of that approach. Instead of trying to avoid memes, he participated in a situation almost guaranteed to create them. And whether people loved the moment or mocked it, they were talking about it. That is the fundamental currency of modern celebrity culture: attention. The Pinkchyu story also demonstrates how much power a single viral interaction can give an internet creator. Pinkchyu entered the livestream as one contestant among 20. She left as the woman associated with one of the most recognizable clips from the event. Her name became connected with Drake's old Goth Baddie comments. Her response, "Good boy," became part of the meme. Her mother's potential house became another headline, and Drake's old advice to IShowSpeed suddenly became relevant again. It is almost a perfectly constructed internet storyline. But the most important detail may actually be the one that is easiest to forget. This was entertainment. Drake was participating in a dating show format designed for a livestream audience. Pinkchyu was a contestant. The wife selection was part of that format. The barking was a playful interaction, and nothing publicly confirmed so far proves that Drake and Pinkchyu are now a real-life couple. So if you see a headline claiming that Drake has officially married Pinkchyu, that is not supported by the facts currently available. If you see a headline claiming Drake has already purchased her mother's $400,000 house, that should also be treated cautiously unless new evidence confirms the transaction. And if you see claims about Pinkchyu's personal history or cosmetic procedures presented as established fact, those should also be approached carefully. The confirmed story is already wild enough. On August 8th, Drake participated in a 20-woman dating livestream on Kick. During his interaction with Pinkchyu, he told her he would follow her instructions, and she asked him to bark. He barked. She called him a good boy. The moment went viral. Pinkchyu advanced to the final 3 alongside Lena the Plug and Jordyn Lucas. Drake chose Pinkchyu as the show's wife. She then asked whether he would buy a house for her retired mother. Drake agreed, and after the clip exploded online, he joked that he was retracting his old advice to IShowSpeed about not barking at women. All of that happened within a matter of days, and the story became even more ironic because Drake had already spent 2025 publicly talking about wanting a goth baddie as his ideal partner. So when the internet looked at Pinkchyu and then looked back at Drake's old interview, the joke practically wrote itself. Did Drake find his dream type? Maybe for the purposes of the show. Is Pinkchyu actually Drake's future wife? There is absolutely no confirmation of that. Did Drake buy her mother a house? He agreed to do it, but the completion of the purchase has not been firmly established. And is the Drake-Pinkchyu story over? That may be the biggest unanswered question of all, because the live stream may have ended, but the internet has only just started watching. If Drake and Pinkchyu interact again, the reaction will almost certainly be enormous. If the house promise becomes a reality, that will become another major development. And if they never appear together again, the August 8th livestream will still be remembered as the night Drake turned a bizarre dating show interaction into one of the most replayed celebrity moments of the summer. For now, the facts tell a pretty remarkable story without needing the rumors. Drake wanted a goth baddie. He met one during a 20-woman dating show. She asked him to bark. He barked. She said, "Good boy." He picked her as the show's winner, and she asked him to buy a house for her retired mother. That is the story that is confirmed right now. Everything else, the romance, the marriage, the future, and whether this becomes something beyond a live stream, is still unwritten. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.